We've read two parts of the Titanic book that we've been working on this week for an IRA. And so today I'm going to finish it. We left it where there had been some messages delivered to the captain that there was ice in the area. And then there were men up in the crow's nest watching out for ice. Immediately after this, Lightoller sent a message to the two lookouts in the crow's nest to keep a sharp eye out for ice, particularly growlers, which in parentheses it tells us are small icebergs that just barely show above the surface. In the Marconi room, the chief operator, Jack Phillips, was busy clearing a backlog of passenger messages when he received a communication at 9:40 p.m. from the Mesaba mentioning heavy pack ice and a great number of large icebergs in an area directly ahead of the Titanic. But again, the information did not find its way to the officers on duty. At 10 o'clock, the watch changed. Lookouts Archie Jewell and George Simons handed over to Reginald Lee and Frederick Fleet, taking care to pass on Lighttoller's instructions. In the difficult conditions, it seemed a particular shame that the crow's nest binoculars were missing. Down below on the bridge, First Officer William Murdoch took over from Lightoller. The subheading says, "The message ignored." Jack Phillips was still in the Marconi room sending messages for passengers at 11 p.m. Suddenly, a ship, the Californian, burst in from close by with a message that went, "Say, OM, we are surrounded by ice," and stopped. OM was short for Old Man, which was how operators addressed each other. Phillips, evidently tired after a long day and irritated at being interrupted, snapped back, shut up, I am busy. I am working Cape Race." He means he was sending messages to Cape Race, a transmitting station on land in Newfoundland. He seemed to have ignored the Californian's message and gone on with his work. Over the Californian, the Marconi operator, Cyril Evans, did not bother to reply, but turned off his machine and went to bed. The final hours. It's hard to piece together exactly what happened next during the last 2 or 3 hours that the Titanic was afloat. Pretty much everything we know is based on accounts of survivors. In the confusion and mounting panic, it's not surprising that stories often do not quite add up and that different people tell different versions of events. Still, there are things that everyone more or less agrees on that there's no strong reason to disbelieve. At 11:39, we have an iceberg ahead. You can look at this text feature and see that there's another one with 11:40 p.m. So the author here is using the sequence of events for his text structure, the way he's structuring this part of the book. He has maps or diagrams at the bottom of each part. I guess they're diagrams, and a little bit of information about what happened at that time. The headings also help us. Iceberg ahead, fatal conclusion at 11:40. Fatal collision. At 11:50, we have flooding begins. 12 o'clock a.m., which is midnight, damage discovered. And you can see the diagrams there. 12:05 a.m., save our souls. 12:45 a.m., abandoned ship. 12:45 a.m., insufficient lifeboats. 12:45 a.m., lifeboat launching. 1:50 a.m., the bitter end. And 2:15 a.m., gone. Now what I'd like for you to do is to read these text features by pausing on each page as I've shown it on the video and looking back through and reading some of these on your own. On this page, we also have a photograph as a text feature that says a caption above it. Be sure that you read that. And here we have the inquiry. Now, an inquiry is what people do when they lead an investigation into something, into a tragedy or something that has happened. And so they had Bruce Ismay in this picture being questioned at the American inquiry. And usually they'll have some things that they find out and come to some conclusions. The Titanic sinking had other consequences. Ship designs were modified in response, so that most were now built with complete double hulls, and a watertight bulkheads in ships like the Oceanic were raised, so their tops were much higher above the waterline. So this part of the story shows that the author is facing a problem, has a problem, and then has a solution to that problem. Or there may be a cause and effect structure that you could see here when you read. So be looking for what the structure is. Why did the author organize the book in the way that they did? And another thing, why did the author include this graph on survivors of the Titanic disaster, with part of it being showing loss, part of it showing saved? It looks as if the pink stands for women and children and the purple for men. As you're reading a book like this, there are so many parts and so much information that we would never expect you to remember all of it. But we would hope that you would look at all of the ways that the author organizes the book, the information that he includes in the book, why he would put the things that he did together, and looking for author's structure, the way that he built this book. So the final part of the book says, to these and many other questions about the sinking of what is surely the most famous ship in history, we will never know the answers. I'm going to let you read part of that book on your own. There will be a few things to answer in the form of a quiz tomorrow, and you'll be able to use the videos and look back to find your answers, but they won't be about details. They'll be about specific things, such as why the author might have included different parts of information and how this book has been organized. So I hope that you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the Titanic, and that today you'll be able to learn a little bit more on your own as you stop your video and read through it.